Well, hey there, everybody. This is Armor Insurance Agency. I am Jeff Williams, and we are here today to talk about Montana motorcycle laws. Weather's getting better, but there's a few things you're going to want to know before you get out there and ride. So, this is my disclaimer. I am not a lawyer. I am not attempting to give legal advice. If you need legal advice, seek out a lawyer. I am simply giving my interpretation of Montana code as an insurance agent. So year after year, Montana is a top destination for motorcycle enthusiasts from all over the country. But as it turns out, Montanans have the highest motorcycle registration per capita than anywhere else in the country. And what that means is the two-wheel adventure, well, that's just a way of life here. But before you hit the open road under this big sky of ours, you're going to want to understand the Montana motorcycle laws and the safety regulations. So whether you're cruising through Miles City or you're tackling that Beartooth Highway, you're going to ride safely and confidently. The first thing we're going to want to know is how in the heck does Montana define a motorcycle? And the answer might surprise you. It's more than just two wheels and an engine. Montana Code Annotated, Title 61, Section 1, Part 101, Subpart 45, defines a motorcycle as a motor vehicle with no more than three wheels touching the ground. It allows for a saddle for the rider or a platform that the rider can stand on. This definition embraces the traditional idea of a motorcycle, but it also includes trikes. So under this Montana code, motorcycles are considered in the same category as a car because they are considered motor vehicles when you're driving them on Montana highways. So now that we know that a motorcycle is considered a motor vehicle in the state of Montana when you're driving on Montana highways, we know that we're going to have to be compliant with Montana statute regarding motor vehicles. Montana statute, Title 61, Section 3, Part 301, mandates that if you're going to drive your motorcycle on a Montana highway, you are going to have to register that motorcycle. In addition, you're going to have a license plate placed on the rear of your motorcycle, and that license plate needs to be placed horizontally. However, if there is not enough room to place the license plate horizontally, it does allow you to place it vertically. So the second Montana statute that applies is Title 61, Section 3, Part 303. This statute mandates that if you're a Montana resident and you're driving your motor vehicle, and remember, motor vehicle applies to motorcycles, on Montana highways, then you're going to have to register your vehicle in the county in which you live. Additionally, you will need to register with the county treasurer's office or their authorized agent. So the final statute that applies is Title 61, Section 3, Part 321, which establishes that when you register your motorcycle with the state, it is being registered permanently. Let's review what we've learned. We've learned 7 different things. 1, Montana defines what a motorcycle is. 2, when you drive your motorcycle on a Montana road, it's considered a motor vehicle. 3, all motor vehicles have to be registered. 4, you have to register your motor vehicle, in this case motorcycle, with or in the county in which you reside. 5, when you register with the county treasurer's office. 6, once you have registered, it is a permanent registration. And 7, you have to have a license attached to the rear of the motorcycle in a horizontal position. Well, now that we've learned 7 things, let's just move on. Moving on to the financial cost of compliance. And that's going to include a flat fee and some additional fees And the additional fees are really dependent on the type of use that you intend for your motorcycle. Previously, we discussed Montana Statute Title 61, Section 3, Part 321. And that's the statute that made your registration permanent. That statute also lays out what the flat fee is going to be dependent on the type of use for your motorcycle. If you are using it only on the roads in Montana, that flat fee is going to be $53.25. If you are using your motorcycle only for off-road use, then that flat fee is going to be $53.25. However, if you're using a dual use on-road, off-road, your registration is going to be $114.50. In addition to the flat fee, there are three more fees. There is a Montana safety fee, a Montana Highway Patrol salary and retention fee, and a license plate manufacturing fee. Those fees equal $16, $10, and $12 respectively. So how much is this going to cost? Well, the total cost is going to depend on your use. So if you are using your motorcycle only on highways, well, then all four fees apply, in which case your cost is going to be $91.25. If you are using your motorcycle for on-road and off-road use, then all four of the fees apply, and your cost is going to be $152.50. However, if your use is only off-road, there is an off-highway vehicle exemption, which means you're not going to have to pay the $16 Montana safety fee or the $12 plate manufacturing fee. Your cost is going to be $63.25. However, there is a little note here, and that is Montana Statute Title 61, Section 3, Part 537 allows counties and local municipalities to impose an additional tax up to 0.7% of the retail value of your vehicle. So those numbers that I've just given you, depending on your county, will likely change a little bit. What is this off-highway exemption? Well, Montana's off-highway exemption allows you to ride your motorcycle on private property, and in that case, you do not have to register your vehicle and you do not have to license your vehicle. However, the caveat is if you're ever going to be on any kind of trail or public land or any easement, anything other than private property, then you do have to register it, and you will have to have a decal on your motorcycle to prove that you have registered it. So here's how Montana law defines and regulates an off-highway vehicle. Montana Code Title 23, Section 2, Part 801 defines an off-highway vehicle as a self-propelled vehicle used for recreation or cross-country travel on public roads, lands, trails, easements, lakes, rivers, or streams. This definition excludes vehicles designed primarily for water travel and snowmobile. Title 23.2, Part 804 states that the motorcycles used exclusively off-road do not require, and this is the important part, it does not require registration or a license plate. However, if you operate your off-highway vehicle on public property, you must display a decal as proof of paid registration fees. And Title 23, Section 2, Part 802 outlines specific exemptions from those requirements. So to illustrate how that works, consider the following scenario. If you ride your motorcycle only on your land, like your ranch or your whatever your property may be, you don't have to register it. It's fine. You don't have to put a license on it. But if you plan to explore any kind of public trails or parks in Montana, you're going to have to comply with the registration requirements and display the decal. So now we're going to move on to age and knowledge requirements. And the state of Montana does establish specific age and knowledge requirements for operating a motorcycle legally in the state. So Montana statute Title 61, Section 5, Part 105 establishes the age limits for operating a motorcycle in the state of Montana. The age limit is age 16 or age 15 if that driver has completed a driver's education course that has been approved by the Department of Justice and the Superintendent of Public Instruction. We know the age requirements now. What are the licensing requirements? Well, Montana statute Title 61, Section 5, Part 102 mandates that a Montana resident must have a valid Montana license to operate a motor vehicle, including motorcycles on state highways. This license must also have clearly marked a motorcycle endorsement to be valid in order to operate a motorcycle. There is no such thing in Montana as a motorcycle license in and of itself. It doesn't exist. It is a Montana driver's license with the endorsement. Montana statute Title 61, Section 5, Part 106 provides that after an applicant has successfully completed a knowledge test and an eye exam, well, they can get a learner's permit. And that learner's permit does allow them to drive and it's valid for 1 year, but there are some limitations. And those limitations are: one, the learner's permit must be in their possession at all times when they're driving a motorcycle. Two, they cannot carry any passengers. And three, they must be under the immediate and proximate visual supervision of a licensed driver who also has a motorcycle endorsement on their license. So now that we know the license requirement, well, what is the process to actually get the endorsement? Montana statute Title 61, Section 5, Part 110 outlines the requirements in order to get that endorsement. And there's basically three things. You're going to have to pass an eye exam, you're going to have pass a knowledge test, and you'll have to pass a skills test. There is an exemption from the skills test, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I think it's important to understand that the endorsement will actually expire. It does expire, and it expires when your license expires. So when your Montana driver's license expires, the endorsement expires. You have to renew it within 6 months prior to the expiration or within 1 year after the expiration. So let's talk about that knowledge test. To obtain your motorcycle endorsement, you have to pass the knowledge test. It is administered at multiple examination stations throughout the state. If you want to know where those stations are, there's a section on the DMV's website where you can find the one closest to you. In addition, if you want to schedule that test, you can schedule it through your local DMV office. Alternatively, you can schedule it online on the DMV's website. The test is going to evaluate your understanding of your pre-ride inspection, your motorcycle controls, your riding techniques, your defensive driving techniques, your traffic law understanding, and your understanding of drug and alcohol use while driving. The test itself consists of 25 questions. You will need to answer 20 of them correct, which is equivalent to a passing score of 80%. The DMV does provide study materials. It's called the Montana Motorcycle Supplement, last revised in 2015. You can find that on the DMV's website. And the DMV provides a practice test on their website to help you study as well. So let's talk about that skills test. The skills test is going to measure your ability to control your motorcycle and respond to hazards. It includes 4 riding exercises, 2 of which are going to occur at about 15 miles per hour. The test is offered between April to November. It is, in fact, weather dependent, and they will not perform it if the roads are wet. During the test, you're going to have to show that you can do maneuvers like cone weave, come to a normal stop, turning from a stop, a U-turn, a quick stop, and an obstacle swerve. Now, if you remember just a little bit ago, I had said, well, there's a way to waive this skills test. And the way to waive the skills test is if you complete a Montana Safety Foundation basic rider course, and there are 2 of them. If you have properly completed one of those 2 courses, you'll be given a card as documentation that you have in fact completed that. You can present that, and when you do, they will waive the skills test. Let's focus on the Montana Motorcycle Safety Foundation, the basic rider course. Montana statute Title 20, Section 25, Part 10 establishes the Montana Motorcycle Safety Training Program. And the program offers 3 courses. There are 2 basic rider courses. Now, the first one is a 2-day course. It's designed for beginners riders, and it costs about $175. The second basic rider course is a 1-day course. It's from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. and it's for riders that are basically, they have basic skills, but they just want to refresh their skills. And that one costs $80. There is also an advanced riders course that costs $80. It's for experienced riders, and it really is just to improve or further improve the skills that they already have. It is also a 1-day course from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. All of the courses you can schedule online on their website. It is the Montana Motorcycle Safety Foundation. You are not required to take this test. It is an optional test, and should you take it and pass one of the 2 basic courses, then you will get the card, and you'll be able to use that card as proof that you've completed it, and you'll be able to waive the skills test that is required to get your motorcycle endorsement. So let's take a look at Montana equipment laws now. Now, there's way too many of them for me to go into today. I'm only going to pull out a few of them. But if you're really interested and you want to know, and you want to take a deep dive into it, then you want to look at Montana Code Annotated, MCA, Title 61, Chapter 9, the whole thing. If you look at Part 203, that's the part that will deal with your headlamp and states that you have to have at least 1 headlamp. Part 204 addresses the tail lamp requirements, and it mandates that your motorcycle has to have at least 1 tail light that emits a red light visible at 500 feet to the rear. If you look at Section 206, it requires that the motorcycle have at least 1 stoplight that is visible from 300 feet during the daylight. For vehicles manufactured before 1964 or 100 feet for vehicles manufactured before 1964. And if you look at Part 418, that's the one that establishes the noise suppression and the spark arrestor requirements for motorcycles in Montana. Your protective gear requirements. Montana is one of 28 states that requires an age-dependent helmet law. There are only 3 states that have no helmet laws. Those are Iowa, Illinois, and New Hampshire. But in Montana, we have an age-dependent, and that is Montana Statute Title 61, Section 9, Part 417. That one specifically covers the helmet requirement for minors. It mandates that operators and passengers under age 18 must wear protective headgear. And that headgear has to meet the standards that are established by the Department of Justice. Motorcycle operators cannot carry a passenger under 18 who are not in compliance with the helmet requirement. Now, according to the Montana Administrative Rule 233417, the Montana Department of Justice adopted the American National Standard Institute, or ANSA Standard 2901, 1971, and so 2 of them, 49 CFR 571-218, which basically sets forth outlines the requirements for the helmet design, the construction, and the performance of the helmets. Safety experts do strongly recommend you use more than just a helmet for everyone, and that everyone use a helmet. I want to bring up two operational functions that the state of Montana has addressed. In Montana Statute Title 61, Section 8, Part 359, the state does require that there could be no more than 2 motorcycles which are operated side by side in a single traffic lane. And Montana Statute Title 61, Section 8, Part 392, which legalizes lane filtering, and that's been legal since October 1st, 2021, as long as the vehicles are not moving at a speed more than 10 miles an hour. So 10 miles an hour or less, you can lane filter. I'm an insurance agent, and there's no way we could talk about a Montana motorcycle laws without addressing the insurance requirements. So we already know that motorcycles are in fact considered motor vehicles for the purpose of driving on Montana highways. Montana Statute Title 61, Section 6, Part 301 addresses the liability insurance requirement for motor vehicles and basically requires that all motor vehicles that are driven on Montana highways have a valid and continuous policy of liability insurance. And remember, liability insurance is what pays the other guy. Montana Statute 616103 specifies that the minimum level of liability insurance. And the minimum level of liability insurance is $25,000 for bodily injury or death of one person in any accident, $50,000 for bodily injury or death of 2 or more people in any one accident, and $20,000 for property damage in the accident. Title 61, Section 6, Part 303 explicitly exempts motorcycles from maintaining that mandatory liability insurance requirement. So even though it's a motor vehicle, for other purposes, it is exempt from the insurance requirement that other motor vehicles driven on Montana roads are required to fulfill. I don't have the slightest clue why that is, but it is. However, while it's not legally required, motorcycle insurance is highly recommended. It is recommended because if you're in an accident and you're liable for an accident, you can be held financially responsible for the damage that was caused. If you do choose to get an optional insurance coverage for liability, then you're going to be required to meet those minimum standards. I would recommend more than that. But if you do get it, you will also, by law, we as agents are required to offer you uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist coverage. That's pretty much the final word right there. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I hope there was something in here that was valuable to you. And if you're thinking about motorcycle insurance, well, check us out. Armor Insurance Agency. And I'm Jeff Williams. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Bye now.